Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Hi, I hope you're fantastic. This is just going to be a brief message, sort of download slash, learning my own personal experience about codependency. I'm not going to pull any cards today or do my usual setup just because of where I'm sitting with my baby, but there's a number of forms of codependency, and I think when we hear the word codependency, we kind of automatically just think that it's like a certain way, or it's because you're codependent on a person financially, or something like that. But there are multiple forms of codependency, and it can be codependency emotionally as well. So, for example, what I've learned about myself is I have always been highly hyper independent. I've always earned my own money. I've had high positions in my corporate career before motherhood, and I attracted someone in who was actually extremely codependent of me emotionally, physically, and needing me to do everything for them, even though when I became a mother, I needed that person to financially support me. And that's not because I was codependent on him financially. I was once I gave birth and everything like that. And I couldn't understand, I was I've never been codependent before financially. I've always stood on my own 2 feet. And I was really confused. I was like, God, isn't it the man's role to provide for the woman, for the mother, when they're carrying their child and birthing their child? How is this? How am I being codependent? What's going on? Sometimes we attract codependent people in of us emotionally because we don't see our worth and our value of someone to be whole and complete on their own and come together, because we're not loving ourselves. So we attract someone in who doesn't either, and then they show us that, because then they take everything from us, and then they're really codependent on us to meet their every need, mother them basically. So that's another form of codependency. And it's possibly because you had a parent who was very unloving, or you felt like you had to perform for love, that you weren't just lovable because you were just a beautiful human being and who you are, and that you just deserve love because of that. You felt like you potentially had to perform to get love, to get affection, to get attention. And so that can happen. And then of course you've got the codependency sexually, where it's the wounded feminine or the wounded masculine, needing that gratification because they feel empty inside, or they need attention, and so they're not loving themselves or wanting to look at their own wounds. So then they're getting that sort of chemical hit sexually. But something that I've learned about myself that I have done, and this is another form of codependency that I was unaware of until recently, and I've had to really look at this and heal this, because it's definitely something I did. So if you meet someone and you know that they're not ready for a relationship, or that they're not ready for the full range of you, just say that you're an incredibly powerful soul, healed or unhealed, it doesn't matter, because deep down, right? Sometimes what happens is we can attract people in who are drawn to our light, but we know deep down that they're not actually ready for what that's going to bring in a union. So if you fall in love with that person's potential because you can sense some sort of potential in them, because you know what your infinite potential is, realized or not, what happens is you consciously or unconsciously project that expectation of their healed version, like their potential version, onto them because of a certain way that you need to feel. And that is codependency. And that's something that I've had to work through because I wasn't really aware of that to such a high level. It's because what happened is, I was actually just in love with what I thought someone's potential was, or like I loved the version of what I could see in them because of my energy. So and when you heal yourself and you really love yourself for who you are, and you really, really, really see your own value, you will know straight away if that person is merely just like potential or just like putting on a show, trying to perform, or if that person's like genuinely able to hold that. Because anyone that's really like real and is like a true soulmate or a true like soul tribe or whatever, they will automatically rise up to meet your energy. You should never be descending if you know you're in a really high vibe. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way. It's like when you're vibrating really high or you have a high light quotient, never ever descend to make someone else feel better or feel adequate. Like they've got to feel that in themselves. And that's what I did. I looked at someone's potential and I was like, yeah, you can rise. But it's like, really, I was projecting that onto them because of the potential that was in me. And they never rose. Like they never rose, and some people never will. And so you have to meet someone where they are now, right here, right now, and not what you potentially think they could be or you want them to be. That's the most important part. What you want them to be, not even what they could be. Because some people they can't ever be. And that's not to be harsh or anything like that, but a lot of the time we project like what we want that person to be because we want them to reach their potential, but it's actually not what they're actually capable of at all. It's what like we need them to be at that potential because we're of such a high vibe. So please take my mistakes in life and my wisdom and my learnings and my personal experience for you and apply that to your situation, and take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Because I promise you, if someone isn't showing you like right here, right now, that they're at your level or at your vibration or at your frequency, you never want to look at someone's just their potential, and you never want to descend. Like that doesn't mean you can't believe in someone or you can't inspire somebody else or encourage somebody else. And I'm not talking here about your children. I'm talking about like intimate people and people that you let like access your energy, people who should find it a privilege to be in your energy, not just a given. So yeah, there are many forms of codependency, and a lot of it is passed down to us. And so sometimes it happens to us so that we can really identify the pattern of where it's coming from so that we can heal it and not pass it on to our children. Because this is why we're doing all this work, like to heal ourselves so that we can have our best life, but it's also so that we don't pass it down. Because the best thing that you can ever do for yourself and your children is to heal. All right, peace out.